Hello everyone, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines, and welcome back to a new video in the series Museum Ships Remembered, a series where we talk about the ships of old that are still with us today. In today's video we'll be talking about a museum ship that I'm sure many of you know, the HMY Britannia. Her Majesty's Yacht Britannia was the former Royal Yacht of the British monarchy, serving from 1954 to 1997. The ship was the 83rd Royal Yacht since King Charles II took the throne in 1660 and the second to bear the name, following the famous racing cutter built for the Prince of Wales in 1893. During her remarkable 43-year career, the Britannia traveled over 1 million nautical miles, visiting more than 600 ports across 135 countries, carrying the royal family on state visits, official tours, and even private vacations. But after decades of service, she was retired and is now permanently berthed at Ocean Terminal, Leith, in Edinburgh in Scotland, where she welcomes over 300,000 visitors each year as a museum ship. Join me today as we explore the full story of Britannia, from her construction to her years of royal service, and finally, to where she is today. I'm incredibly excited to share this story with you all. If you're excited too, don't forget to leave a like so we can share this amazing piece of history with as many people as possible. The HMY Britannia was constructed at the John Brown and Company Limited shipyard in Clydebank, Dunbartonshire. In terms of specifications, the vessel had a gross tonnage of 5,769 registered tons. The vessel measured 412 feet in length with a beam of 55 feet, and she was capable of a maximum speed on trials of 22 knots, and her maximum continuous speed was 21 knots. The ship featured 3 masts, a 133-foot foremast, a 139-foot mainmast, and a 118-foot mizzenmast. To facilitate passage under bridges, the top aerial on the foremast and the upper 20 feet of the mainmast were designed. The masts were modified in late 1958 specifically for this royal tour, rather than being designed from the outset to do this, with hinged sections. When the ship was built, she was designed for potential conversion into a hospital ship in times of war, for example in the Falklands War, and the Navy gave serious thought to deploying the Britannia to the South Atlantic, but the idea was ultimately vetoed. Aside from the task force flagship, the HMS Hermes, the Britannia would have been the only warship powered by FFO, a reflection of the technological shift that had occurred between her commissioning in 1954. Instead, the 16,907 gross register ton P&O liner, the SS Uganda, which was in the Mediterranean on an educational cruise carrying 1,000 school children, was requisitioned and modified to serve as a hospital ship. In the event of a nuclear war, the Britannia was intended to serve as a safe haven for the Queen and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, off the northwest coast of Scotland. Royal Navy officers were assigned to serve aboard Britannia for up to 2 years. The seasoned officers served 1-year terms, while the other officers aboard the yacht typically held standard 2-year appointments. The Admiral Forey usually commanded the Britannia for a period of 4 to 5 years. Commodore Morrow, the only officer to hold the title of Corrie, had his tenure cut short due to Britannia's retirement without a successor. However, when he was appointed, there was still a possibility that the Britannia would either be replaced or undergo a refit for continued service. Had that happened, he was expected to complete a full 4 to 5 year term, after which another Commodore would have succeeded him. The crew consisted of volunteers from the general service of the Royal Navy. After completing 1 year of service, they could be transferred to the permanent Royal Yacht Service as Royal Yachtsmen, where they could continue serving until they chose to leave or were dismissed due to medical or disciplinary issues. As a result, some crew members stayed on for 20 years or more. In addition to the sailors, the crew included a detachment of Royal Marines. Launched by Queen Elizabeth II on the 16th of April 1953, she underwent her sea trials on the 3rd of November 1953 off the west coast of Scotland. After successfully completing her trials, she was officially commissioned into the Royal Navy on the 11th of January 1954. The Britannia set sail on her maiden voyage from Portsmouth to Grand Harbour, Malta, on the 14th of April 1954, arriving on the 22nd of April. On board were Prince Charles and Princess Anne, who were travelling to Malta to meet the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh at the conclusion of the royal couple's Commonwealth tour. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh boarded the Britannia for the first time in Tobruk on the 1st of May 1954. On 20 July 1959, Britannia sailed through the newly opened St. Lawrence Seaway on her way from Canada to Chicago, making the Queen the first British monarch to visit the city. U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower was aboard for part of the voyage, and in subsequent years, Presidents Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, and Bill Clinton also boarded the ship. In 1973, Anne and Mark Phillips took their honeymoon cruise on the Britannia, followed by Charles and Diana in 1981. In 1986, the ship evacuated more than 1,000 refugees. The Britannia evacuated 1,082 people fleeing the civil war in Aden. In 1991, the Britannia sailed to Canada, making stops in Toronto and Kingston, Ontario. When on royal duties, the Britannia was typically accompanied by a Royal Navy warship. The yacht was a familiar sight during Cowes Week every August, and for much of the month, she served as the home of the Queen and her family. During their annual cruise through the islands off Scotland's west coast, known as the Western Isles Cruise. Throughout her tenure as the Royal Yacht, the Britannia carried the Queen and other members of the royal family and numerous dignitaries on 696 overseas visits and 272 trips within British waters. Over the course of her service, the Britannia covered a total of 1,087,623 nautical miles. In 1994, the Conservative government announced the yacht's retirement. Viscount Cranbourne, House of Lords Hansard, would say the following:
The yacht last underwent a major refit in 1987. A further refit at an estimated cost of some £17 million would be necessary in 1996 to 1997, but would only prolong her life for a further 5 years. In view of her age, even after the refit, she would be difficult to maintain and expensive to run. It has therefore been decided to decommission Britannia in 1997. The government will now consider the question of whether to replace Britannia.
In January 1997, the government pledged to replace the Royal Yacht if re-elected. The timing of this announcement close to a general election, sparked controversy. The key mistake wasn't in the timing, but in the government's failure to consult with the opposition and secure their backing in advance. When the construction of the Britannia was announced shortly before the 1951 general election, it avoided controversy because the Prime Minister had already gained the opposition's support. Had John Major's government followed this precedent, the issue likely wouldn't have become problematic. At the time, Tony Blair was unaware of the yacht's significance. He has since expressed regret, acknowledging that had he witnessed the Britannia in service and fully understood her role in promoting UK diplomacy and trade, he would not have opposed her replacement. The Guardian Weekly described it as part of a populist appeal to wavering Tory voters ahead of the general election. Sir Edward Heath publicly criticized the government's approach, stating, "The Conservative Party, above all, must be an honourable party, and I don't believe the actions taken are honourable ones and should never have been handled this way." The government justified the cause, claiming the yacht played a key role in foreign policy and advancing British interests abroad, especially through conferences organized by British Invisibles, formerly the Committee on Invisible Exports. The Overseas Trade Board estimated that events held on the yacht generated £3 billion for HM Treasury between 1991 and 1995. The Labour opposition declared that it would not allocate public funds for a replacement vessel for at least the first 2 years of any new Labour government. Following their election victory in May 1997, the new government explored various options for the future of a Royal Yacht, but ultimately decided in October of that year that the Britannia would not be replaced. George Robertson, Defence Secretary, would say the following:
"We made clear that we would not spend public money on a Royal Yacht, and I'm keeping that promise. We in the Ministry of Defence have to justify every penny of the taxpayers' money that we spend, and in this case, I could not do so, particularly as the Queen has made clear since a yacht is not needed for royal travel. We considered in detail all private finance options, but these would only have been viable with a substantial annual subsidy from public funds."
The Royal Yacht's last foreign voyage was to carry the final Governor of Hong Kong, Chris Patten, and the Prince of Wales back from Hong Kong after its handover to the People's Republic of China on the 1st of July 1997. The Britannia was decommissioned on the 11th of December 1997, and it marked a somber day when the royal family said their final farewell to a ship that had loyally served them and the nation for more than 40 years. This was one of the few times Queen Elizabeth II was seen in tears as the band of HM Royal Marines played the emotionally charged Highland Cathedral. Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, would say the following:
"Looking back over 44 years, we can all reflect with pride and gratitude upon this great ship which has served the country, the Royal Navy and my family with such distinction."
The Britannia is listed as part of the National Historic Fleet and is now a popular visitor attraction moored in the historic port of Leith in Edinburgh in Scotland. The ship is maintained by the Royal Yacht Britannia Trust, a registered charity. However, there was some debate over her location, with some arguing that she would be more fittingly moored on the River Clyde, where she was built, rather than in Edinburgh, with which the yacht had fewer connections. Her placement in Leith coincided with a redevelopment of the harbour area, Visitors enter the yacht through the Ocean Terminal Shopping Centre, with over 300,000 people touring the Royal Yacht Britannia each year. It is also one of the UK's premier evening event venues. In May 2006, Swiss-born Hollywood actress and first Bond girl Ursula Andress for the opening of the Swiss Consulate General in Scotland. On 29th July 2011, a drinks reception was held on the Britannia to celebrate the upcoming wedding of Queen Elizabeth's granddaughter Zara Phillips and her then fiancé Mike Tyndall. An early Land Rover is displayed in the onboard garage, while a retired Rolls-Royce Phantom V state car is parked on the quayside beside the ship. The tour of the 5 public decks includes the Queen's bedroom, visible behind a glass wall, as well as the state dining and drawing rooms, which hosted receptions for kings, queens, presidents, and prime ministers from around the world. The clocks on board are stopped at 3:01, marking the time the Queen last disembarked. The Royal Deck Tea Room was added in 2009. That brings us to the end of our journey through the legacy of the HMY Britannia. From her grandeur as a royal yacht to her iconic role in British history, the Britannia truly left a mark on the world. Serving the royal family for over 40 years, this remarkable ship saw everything from royal tours to major political events. After her decommissioning in 1997, she became a cherished part of British heritage, now preserved as part of the National Historic Fleet. Whether you're visiting her in Edinburgh or simply reflecting on her legacy, the Britannia's story remains a symbol of grace, duty, and service.
And that marks the end of a video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing to the channel, as that would help out the channel a lot. Now, if you have any thoughts, comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, as I absolutely love reading your comments. And please let me know in the comment section down below as well what ships you would like me to cover in the future. Now be as well sure to check out our social media pages. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we also recently have a website, oldshippinglines.com, where we have articles of the ships we cover and we have book reviews as well. I think you will enjoy the website very much. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay happy, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.